In this episode, we're going to look at how to prepare and what to expect your first day in the IT industry. So don't forget to click like, subscribe, and that notification bell. Welcome to Debt Free in IT. I'm your host, Mike. This podcast is for anyone who's looking to get into the IT industry, whether it's for a career change or you're just interested. I think you come to the right place. So you've been applying to different jobs, trying to make that pivot from your current career to the IT industry. Then after months of applying, you finally get an interview. And then during that interview, you blow them away. And then that interview leads to an offer. You accept that offer, and now your day has come. Your first day on the job. So on my first day, I remember being nervous, wondering what to expect, meeting new coworkers. My biggest concern was, what if I mess something up? Or what if someone asked me a question or asked me a technical question and I didn't know the answer? So my mind was all over the place. I thought that maybe if they asked me a technical question and I didn't know the answer, they was going to think that I wasn't worthy of having that position. So in this episode, I'm going to help calm your nerves with some things to expect your first day on the job. So the first tip I have for your first day on the job is you want to make sure your first impression is your best impression. So you can do this by, number one, just being on time. So if your shift starts at 8 a.m., you would definitely want to be there by around about 7:45. So this shows that you're punctual and also shows that you're dependable. And then also it gives you a chance to meet the shift that worked before you. So if you're coming in on first shift, you'll be relieving third shift. So that way you can see if they had a rough night or if they look stressed. If they look stressed, then definitely it's probably going to carry over to your shift. And then also this should give you a feel on how your shift is going to go, because one of the most important reasons to try to get there early is because most places you have what's called a turnover log, or it may be a document where you see any ongoing issues, and that way you're aware of those issues for your shift. So by you getting there a little bit earlier, this is going to give you enough time to talk to that shift that's currently working, and they can let you know if there's any issues going on, if they had to call anyone, or if there's anything that you need to be on the lookout for. And all of this is going to end up being in their turnover log. So any current issues, pressing issues, ongoing issues, if they happen to have to call someone before you got there, they should let you know all of this, and also it'll be in that turnover log to help you out during your shift. So the second thing you should expect to see as a new employee in the IT industry is some sort of onboarding process. So most companies are going to usually have some kind of onboarding process. So this process usually will consist of completing any paperwork for your job. So setting up any bank accounts where you want your direct deposit to go, attending any training sessions as a new employee, nothing extremely hard or stressful. So these training sessions is usually where most organizations have their employees, they have to complete a certain amount of required trainings every year. Some of those trainings may be IT related, and some of them may not be. The ones that's usually IT related would probably be some form of cybersecurity training, because that's an ongoing issue that gets bigger and bigger every year. So there's going to be some form of cybersecurity training just to show you how to spot out spam emails, how to not fall for phishing emails, and then usually you'll see where your IT team will start to send out fake ones just to see who falls for it. And then those that fall for it, they try to educate the user on how to be better with spotting out those type of emails. So this is something that you should plan to see on your first day on the job. Sorry to interrupt this video. According to my YouTube analytics, 84% of my viewers are not subscribed. If I provided any value to you in any one of my episodes and you're not subscribed, please consider doing so, as it does help out the channel. And also, if you're listening to this in your favorite podcasting app, please leave me a review or a comment and share this with a friend. Now back to the episode. So the next thing you're probably going to run into, or you're probably going to end up doing on your first day, is making sure you got system access and setting up your workspace. So this is something that usually on the first couple of days, something that they have you do. So they want to make sure that you can log into everything. And then also they're going to show you your workspace. So this workspace, it may be a cubicle, it may be an office, or if you're somewhere like operations where you're working with multiple people, you could all just be in one room. If you're all in one room or working in operations of some sort, you're not really going to be able to decorate it much. But if you do have your own cubicle, a lot of times this is where you can make it like your own space. You can decorate it as if it's your home away from home, because this is where mainly, unless you're remote, this is where mainly you're going to be going in doing your work at for the majority of your time. So some people I would see, they would collect pops, different finger rings, and bring them in and kind of show them off on display. If you're a record collector, you may bring in some of your good records and just have it on display. Some people bring pictures from home and things of that nature. So me personally, I never went too deep into it. So I always thought that, okay, pretty much I had my office or my cubicle set up to where if somebody were to come in and tell me that my services is no longer needed, I didn't have to pack anything up. Only thing I had to do was log out of my PC and I was good to go. So you can decorate it or you cannot decorate it. That's all going to be up to you. And then after you get this workspace decorated, you want to make sure you can log into your application. So sometimes this can be overwhelming from your first day because you may have 10 different applications you're logging into. So it's going to be overwhelming because they may have different usernames and different passwords. And then on top of that, you got to figure out when do you need to use these applications. So you got to get trained up in each of these applications. So it's going to make it a little harder from the first day because you're looking at the whole picture. It's like, oh, dang, how the world I'm going to figure this out? But usually after a couple weeks in, it gets a little easier because you're training on these applications. So, but making sure you got system access, able to log into everything, making sure you get your email set up, all of that stuff is set up. All of that you're going to see on this first day. So the next thing you should expect on your first day is this is going to be your first task. So most jobs, they'll give you 6 to 8 weeks of training, depending on your position. And then if you're started in networking, most of the time you'll probably get 6 months or more to probably really, really learn the network. And then if it's a lower tier job like a help desk or ops, then 6 to 8 weeks of training, and then pretty much you're put on your own. So this is where you're going to get your first task of, okay, if you're a help desk, it may be your first call where, okay, this is a password reset. I'm going to let you handle this password reset just so you get used to doing password resets. So you're going to start getting those first tasks, and usually those first tasks are not really, really too hard because as your training goes into, you're going to get more and more responsibility. So it may be where you first start out in training and you're just watching whoever's training you for the first couple of days. And then after, let's say, a week or two of you just watching, then that person that's training you may start watching you. So coming into the shift, and instead of them doing everything, they may start having you do some of the tasks needed on that shift just to see if you're able to do it. And then if it's a good trainer, if they figure out that, okay, you're kind of drowning, then they may step in and help you, especially if you're taking phone calls. So if you're taking phone calls and you're not used to it, where someone that's trained up could probably be on the average call no more than about 3 to 4 minutes. But for you just starting out, you may be on a call about 10 minutes just trying to figure out what's going on, trying to ask the right questions, trying to remote into the user's PC. It could be anything. So most of the time, you're going to get this 6 to 8 weeks of training, unless it's a higher position. Usually in the higher positions, then you get a couple months or usually close to a year to kind of really learn the network. But as things progress, you will start doing average tasks that you should be doing on a daily basis. So you won't get held out from that for 6 to 8 months, but you will kind of slowly get more tasks added on, and those tasks will probably be a little bit harder. So for me, I remember when I was first training for operations, so we had a checklist. Then a couple of days of being on the job, I took over doing that checklist. And then after that, we started doing walkthroughs every hour. So if you're taking support calls in your position, taking that first call will forever be burned in your memory. So I remember I was nervous. I was stuttering, not getting all the users' info. I wasn't even asking the name. I didn't even know what department they was in. I was just trying to hurry up and get off the call. But usually, like I said, the more you start taking these calls, after a couple of weeks or so, you'll start to figure out that, hey, I'm getting some of the same issues. So things will be a whole lot easier and you'll be able to get off that call a whole lot sooner. But then every once in a while, you get thrown a monkey wrench where, oh, I've never seen this issue before. And then that may take some research and just trying to figure out, or it may take calling on a higher level of support. So some tips I have for your first day. So the first tip I suggest is to take notes. So whether you bring in a physical notebook or if you got all your notes on a PC, if you use OneNote, that was my favorite, OneNote. So I still use that to this day. But basically, you want to just take notes, and this will help you out on a daily basis. So as you learn the systems and applications, trust me, you'll be able to rely on your notes to help you get through those issues. So for me, like I said, it was OneNote and a physical notebook. I would bring in that physical notebook, just take notes up until all the way a couple of months, even after I was off training. I would still refer back to that notebook and those notes. So taking notes, like I said, will be crucial in any kind of support role, whether that's just starting out in help desk or operations, or you moving up to a networking or security, because there's going to be a lot of things to learn. And for me, it's harder to learn if I don't really take notes on it. If I'm just coming in every day and watching you and you're doing something different almost every day, it's going to be a little bit harder for me to learn. So my first tip is to always take notes. And then my second tip is to always ask questions. So there's no such thing as a dumb question. So the only dumb question is the question you don't ask. So anything you don't understand, don't hesitate to ask about it. Don't wait till you're out there on your own and then you're like, oh man, I should have asked this question. So you want to go ahead and get that question out of the way in the beginning of your shift, or even while you're in training. No question is a dumb question. So that brings me to the end of this episode. Hopefully you found some value in this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, follow me at DebtFreeInIT. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me at debtfreeinit@gmail.com, or you can check out my website, debtfreeinitwithmike.com. Other than that, I'll see you next week. Peace.